Is anyone there? Shit, that was painful.
What happened? I thought it was just me being late.
Sorry, guys.
John, how did you got locked out?
Oh, funny. I have an echo.
So is there any like logistics issue that we actually could not get in?
Yeah. Can you guys
Mm.
still hear me?
Yeah. Yes. Can you guys hear me?
Okay,
Yeah, I can hear you,
I,
Hari.
You
I've
can
got
hear
echo
Okay,
on this.
both.
perfect.
You
Okay.
can hear both of you loud and clear.
Same.
Perfect. Okay. Okay. Hey, thanks John for accommodating last week because last week was completely souped up, and in fact for this week I actually had back-to-back meetings from the morning. I was just trying to catch up for the last 10 minutes on what to say in this meeting. Sorry for that. You have a lot of things coming in Microsoft, so we are actually jumping on it. So, um, John, like, do you want to actually start with where do you want to start? Like, I saw the minutes where we were trying to actually start with the normative spec feedback, and I was not sure that any of you had a chance. I saw Michael Rayner posted a feedback around a week back through email. I don't think so. He actually posted it as an issue, but he actually posted it as a feedback. So did you? I looked at it. Seems most of them are like there are some very legitimate questions. The only thing I wanted to make sure is all of you have seen that and have any questions or opinions before I take it further.
So do you want to review that feedback in
Yes.
this meeting?
Yes, I would like because I'm just thinking the first part is, by the way, I'm still trying to push. Currently, the decision which was made within the OCP was they would like to continue with the normative and narrative together, but they are actually understand that they need to have the normative as the reference part of it. I have already informed them that from the OCP system GPU management, we will continue to look up to the uh, the normative spec as the way to sort of provide our feedback. And we expect that feedback to trickle in to them, whatever we have actually, and it's up to them to utilize it. But from the evolutionary point of view of the normative spec, most of the evolutions will happen within the system GPU. So we may actually, John, I think that is first thing we want to talk about last week. I think last time we worked on it, I had a bit of discussion. I was just thinking, I'm not sure I got the action to post it in our GitHub, but I wanted to see whether we can start from there. Like we wanted to get this normative spec and start uh, sort of use the way of trying to actually cone the document and use the document evolution, and I will try to constantly take the feedback which we actually ratified and we'll go back to the CLA team. Any thoughts on that?
Sorry. Sorry, I'm in the background trying to get rid of my echo.
No, no problem. So what do you think, John? It's and anyone, like if you guys think that's a good idea, because my question is I don't want to keep waiting because currently they're still trying to within the CLA team, they're still trying to work out how they will internalize the normative spec. But overall, their feedback was they actually had few feedbacks, but most of them are cursory. And I think we can actually address that because I'm also trying to understand how to take that feedback from them to us So I think this feedback of taking our feedback to them, I think that is classically simple. And I am actually trying to make sure that any feedback they provided to me within the CLA, I need to really sort of understand. I think I will work with you, John. We need to understand how to bring that out back to this forum. Okay. So,
Well, wait, isn't that pretty clear? If they have feedback, doesn't it come through you?
yeah, it comes through me, but the only logistical thing which I am trying to allude to a point which you raised before. Remember any material within the CLA, right? If
Hmm.
they actually provide it within the CLA one, I wanted to make check with you before I add those feedbacks in. This is just a logistical check. I'm checking with you as in from OCP. Does the CLA have any issues? If I take a normative spec which I created from open, right? Remember, that's why we are maintaining it here. And I'm trying to make sure the normative spec will be in sync with the actual spec which they are doing only on the published specs model, providing the feedback. But if they have a feedback within the CLA team on the normative spec evolution, my question is, I am free to bring that back into this forum, correct? I'm just checking with you. No issues, right?
Am I still here?
Oh,
You guys hear me?
yeah, we can.
Oh, good. I got rid of my echo. Okay. Now I can focus. Um, so so if this feedback coming from CLA, right? All they have to
Mm-hmm.
do is sign off saying, "Hey, whatever we told Hari is we agreed to for him to bring back to the
Perfect. Okay.
open stream," right? It's I mean you're in a room, right? And they're telling you a bunch of stuff, and all they have to say is, consider it public, give it to
Mm-hmm.
you guys.
Okay.
That's all.
Actually,
We don't
yeah.
have to do. I don't have to do anything.
Okay, good. That's, by the way, today that is a little bit of a slippery area because I'm not. What I'm trying to do nowadays is I have an email chain within the CLA team, which I usually try to summarize it, send it to them as the formal feedback, and I'm trying to get them to say that they understand and agree for this to be utilized in the system GPU forum. Okay,
Yeah,
if
I mean,
that's okay with that.
the main concern is that they don't come back and say, "Oh, that piece of information, we never made it public," right? So
Yes. By the way,
Hari
yeah,
could
that
never
yeah,
break.
yeah,
So
yep.
so you guys, right, within the sale group, have to go figure out what mechanism is going to be done, so you guys can say this was data that was provided or information that was provided to Hari, and the CLA group signs off on it, whether that be a electronic vote or whether everyone has to go do something against a document. You guys figure that stuff out.
Hmm.
As long as you can trace that information to say, Hari brought it up to this group on this day. You guys approved it, a couple of weeks back, and this is the paper
Hmm.
trail.
Yeah, yeah. That's, by the way, that is why I got some feedback within, but I'm actually evaluating, as I said, is mostly it's cursory.
Yeah,
Basically, there are some interpretations of because I can understand that when I try to put this in a normative language, people within the CLA did understand that things are closing on. So in a sense that it's not an open anymore. So there is no room for interpretations. Things are getting more crystallized. And that is causing a little bit of everyone to sort of say, let's go back and evaluate. What is this one? What is Hari saying again? Right. So I wanted to sort of highlight that is where I'm happy that this normative spec is making people to start understanding the shall, should, and must is much more restrictive on how to actually interpret requirements, which is actually the thought process. And I'm actually working with them. But do you guys, how do we want to do it? Because he sent me through an email, Mike Rainer, to all of us. How do you want us to actually go back and review it, John? Can I actually share my screen and go from there for the email?
yeah. So he sent you an email.
He sent all of us, he actually addressed this from the notification. I don't know how he sent it.
Okay, all right. I think I got it. Okay, so what he did was he added a comment to the GitHub issue.
Okay.
Okay, so that's why I
Yeah.
went through this slide. Okay, so
Okay, I was actually, by the way,
okay.
sorry, my brain got fried with that. I was just saying, how did he actually got that email and why he sent it? Okay,
So let me
good. Okay, good.
let me give you your
Yeah.
GitHub trainer. Okay, so you created this, right? Which
Yes,
was
sir. Yes.
an issue, which you basically pointed to the old spec
Yes.
and
Yes.
this is what I asked last time, right?
Yes.
So all he did was he added his comment to say, hey, good. Now I
Thank
looked at
God.
this document
Thanks.
and these are my comments. So now this is all public, right? It's
Yep.
not
Yep. Yep.
private mails to
Yeah.
anybody.
Yeah.
And so this is his
Thanks,
feedback.
John, for the
So
context. Yep.
so
Okay, let's go through this. Yeah, okay. Yeah, by the way, and let me ask all of you, any of you have reviewed this or you guys need more time to review? Because what I was thinking is we will actually get past all the initial comments and maybe we will take that first snapshot and then sort of use that as the driving for the 1.1 normative and push it into our GitHub.
I haven't had a chance to review this one.
I was
I'm,
Yeah.
go ahead,
No.
Austin.
I think John, you were going to put this in GitHub as an actual markdown file instead of just as an attachment in this issue so that we could comment on it there. Did you get a chance to do that, John?
no, I did not. So that's the request. As a matter of fact, that was already going to kill Cario. I said this is cumbersome. So what we need to do is take this entire document here and move it into the GitHub as a markdown document. Then people can go directly into that section and
And
add
then
their comment, right? And we can do it the right way as opposed to this because thank you, Mike, but this is cumbersome, right? Because now it's spread across multiple. You have to keep on referring to this back to your markdown.
John, the only thing I would suggest is I just want to make sure all of you have reviewed this document once in the issue state for now and make sure that we are structurally okay because currently what I'm trying to work, this document is currently the set point between the CLA group and our group. Okay. This is the set point. I want to start our version of this document to be at the same lockstepping as what is internally what we started the reviews with. That's why I'm asking everyone for the initial review to be done under the issue. And the closure of the issue is this document has gained enough acceptance within the system GPU management that we can approve this to be actually archived within our GitHub now.
Okay. So to move forward, go ahead.
I thought we did that already. And then like last week we said, hey, we're good with this format. Let's get it into GitHub so we can start doing the detailed review.
I understand, but when I actually got this, so the comments from Mike Rayner, right? And which actually sort of some of the things which Mike Rayner talks about basically is a DMTF intercept models, which is good. But one of the thing again, because I had some comments from within the CLA about some organization type of thing. I'm just asking once again, by the way, Austin, you are absolutely right. If you believe that this 1.1 full document we have created, this is a good starting point for addressing on all these things and evolving it. I am for it. But I just want to give an opportunity to everyone to say that, yes, I think this is a good starting point. That's all.
Let's check it in or create a PR so we can start reviewing.
Right. So one, given that Mike is not here today, right? Okay. So why don't I just do what I should have done is take the full document, which is linked here. I would dump it into the GitHub, and then I will either ask Mike to move his stuff across.
Exactly.
He knows how to do it, and then we can do it the right way.
Yes.
So if you create a PR and then we can comment and sign off, that would be easier than just checking it in and then reviewing it. If that's.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it that way.
Thanks, Nero.
All right. So that's it for that item.
Okay.
So the second was the pull the issue submitted that you took ownership of, and so I've gone across to the profile repository?
Yes, I need to apologize because unfortunately my last 3 weeks of bandwidth was so much squandered around. I am
Okay.
actually lagging. I will definitely take an action and pull that in. Okay.
Okay. So
This is still pending. This is still pending.
All right. All right.
Sorry
So
for
those
that.
are the two items for
Yes.
pull requests and issues. I believe the third item was Fabric message registry.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I
Nirav,
think Nirav,
Ryan,
Ryan, yeah,
do you
yeah.
you want to take ownership?
Ryan has the presentation. Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead. Ryan, are you still there? Thought I did hear him, no?
I think he may be on mute.
Yes,
He seems to be on mute.
Okay.
Maybe he's happily presenting.
Somewhere else. I have done that a number of times. If I had $1 every time I did that.
Ryan got distracted, a possibility.
Uh,
He's here. He's
Oh.
back.
Sorry, guys, I got called on my phone.
No worries.
I thought you were reviewing a bunch of Git issues, and I was like, okay, I can step away for a second.
So, Ryan, did you want to present your slide deck, or did you want me
Well,
to?
I don't have. I mean, I was just going to bring back up the original justification with Ari, I think, and just talk through. I looked at it again, and Austin and I kind of talked offline. I think there was consensus that we thought this was appropriate to bring into the closed work group as the justification. I mean, above and beyond what the platform messages are. So let me go ahead and I'll reshare that slide. Give me just 1 second.
So Ryan, just want to make sure. So this is getting presented to System GPU management team only, right? Currently. So it has not been reviewed within the CLA yet, correct?
I don't think we need to take it into the CLA.
Perfect. Okay. I just want to make sure the plurality needs to be there. Like we need to make sure these two are still separate for now. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think your original objection, if I understood it, is that we needed to run this through the closed group, which
No, what I will do is I will actually run it through. Okay.
Mhm.
But because this is just spirit of the exercise to keep both these forums updated. But again, that doesn't sort of stop us from actually evolving. Okay.
Okay.
But I just want to make sure because AMD, all the people here, we are sharing multiple roles, right? As a company within CLA and outside CLA.
Yeah.
Currently, I am the only one who actually can cross borders for now. Okay. So
Right.
let's keep it
I'm
there.
intentionally not
Yes.
monitoring what's going on in the closed group.
Perfect, sir. Thanks.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yep. So I think this was the original justification that we had pulled together. Like I said, after looking at it again, I still think it's, each of these elements is valid. I think the ability from a RIP perspective to define these specific messages that are GPU centric and allowing data center consumers that are subscribing to these specific message registries and message IDs is valuable, right? I think it's some of the same justification that was made, during APTS for the addition of those, some of the new platform messages.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I think this is sufficient to take in. I know we had talked about potentially prioritizing the overall accelerator device ahead of accelerator fabric. However, based on like the kind of agreement that we had here on the existing accelerator fabric messages, I'd like to propose that we go ahead and push forward with that set. I think if that's not amenable to the team, then I think A&D is of the position that we would like to take it in ourselves if the timelines aren't aligned or if we don't have agreement.
So can we go through it? Actually, thanks, Ryan. I think, but the reason of the last time was I was just wanted to see, I want to test the waters of DMTF specifically on the platform messages which I was pulling in, right? You might have seen
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that the current synergy we built in DMTF gives me a lot of confidence that some of the things we are talking about
Right.
definitely can be steered in. So
So the
previously our confidence was not that high. So in a sense that we were not very sure like how the different things will be received. And I was pretty encouraged, right? I will say encouraged by DMTF's
right.
approvals.
So
Okay.
so the answer to Ryan's question, let's run it through this work stream for now.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're just essentially just going to you'll make the closed work stream aware of this. You can share the justification and you can share the initial.
Can you go through the slides one quickly? Just want to make sure
No,
because
this is just process. So process is
yeah,
yes. Yeah,
yeah,
it's not your problem to deal with the closed work stream. It's Hari's, and
yeah, that is mine. Okay.
Right.
that,
So
that's all he keeps saying is that you do what we do, guys, and he'll keep the closed work
yeah,
stream
so
aligned.
Ryan, let me make sure the message is loud and clear, even though it's getting recorded. I understand is this work stream will be continuing to use its expertise and its actually knowledge to evolve. But at the same time, I will be making sure that because the different thought process and avenues the CLA team is working,
Mhm.
may not be actually the points which we are working on, but we need to make sure, I need to make sure both of them have actually transparency on what we are working in. Only thing is, we are obliged to actually tell them. I don't think so. They are obliged to tell us. That's the only difference. Okay. I will keep them informed.
That,
And my
that's
only thing is, whatever you are actually put together, my only thought was previously I was looking at your presentation in a different perspective. If it's okay, can we go through it? We have time. So if we can go through it one quickly based on your proposal, it will be actually much easier. Okay. That's fair.
I mean, there's no new content, right? I just wanted to revisit.
Yeah, I want to revisit the content because at that time we were focusing on a totally different vector instead of going into the nuances of the each messages which we are suggesting. I'm just saying if we get a chance once again to just look at it
Keep
and
going.
make sure we are all aligned. That's all.
Keep going. Yeah, the one where you have the fabric one.
Yeah, the fabric one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. Give me just 1 second.
I think you had that in that another table.
It was in another presentation. Yeah, give me just 1 minute.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But while Ryan is doing that, one gut check, Hari. I think keeping them informed is one thing. Getting alignment on them, accepting this as a part of the CLA output or prescriptive at
No,
out.
that is not our current, by the way, so let me be very clear, Nirav.
Mhm.
Our responsibility is to communicate. My responsibility is to communicate. Okay. And my responsibility is if they see something which doesn't jive in, that is the only thing I will be taking it as a public feedback. And whether we should do it or not, that is not for that work stream to decide at this moment.
That though I'm not. That's not what I was going after. What I was trying to say is, I mean, them being aware and them being aligned are two different things, right?
Actually, them being aware is our current whatever I signed up for, their
Mhm.
awareness, and they are basically. By the way, one of the thing is I am going to actually do both the double certificate type of thing, looking
Mhm.
from their perspective also to make sure that if I see something which would actually go a little south or north of what we could do, I will definitely provide my input. But I'm looking for the collective knowledge of this work stream, whatever we are proposing, which is, remember, our work stream is only currently downstream is DMTF, right? Our work streams downstream is DMTF, not CLA. Our
Sure.
upstream is CLA.
I
Downstream is DMTF. So when we agree here, I will have only one thing I will request before we make an approval of this change to go to DMTF is let me make the CLA team aware of it. And I think the following week, once we get the awareness in, the following week, we will actually make the choice of approving to push it towards DMTF.
Fair enough. And is the CLI team aligned on the us owning the prescriptiveness of the entire flow, or they will come up with their own prescriptive spec and we come up with our own prescriptive spec is the idea?
Currently, it all depends on how much meat we are planning to put on this, which will actually get them more engaged. So let us say if your fabric, whatever Ryan is actually sort of providing at this moment, is at a message level only, registry level. Basically, now if I don't think so, anybody is going to actually pretty much hold anybody's throat on why these messages are added, because the more the messages, the more the definition, it's more better. But
No,
if we are talking about prescripting the usage of the message, that is where you will actually get an alignment issue, because definitely the CLA team definitely will have its opinions of how and where these messages can be utilized. Okay. As long as we make when we build the case for this fabric registry, yeah, as long as we actually focus it on the messages and one possible or an example scenarios where it can be utilized without harshly prescripting the usage of it, then I don't see an issue, because how they consume, how the CLA team will be consuming these messages, that is something for them to decide, and maybe we can synchronize it when they provide their next public spec. You see what
right.
I'm saying, Nero?
And I think that's what. And again, it's up to Ryan, I guess. And my personal opinion on the ones that, at least the way I was thinking about this, is I think the steps that we agreed on was we we get the feedback from the CLA on the on the on the probability or the alignment of these things before we go to DMTF. Is that still
The thought process is, remember, one of the catches was the CLA team is working on full force on current tactical issues, which they would like to standardize, right? Some of the things, by the way, I will try my best to get an alignment. Okay,
okay?
Nero? We will try our best. But the
Yeah.
problem, what I'm seeing is that alignment clause should not hold us from making any progress, is what I'm a little bit afraid and worried about. Okay.
Well, if I may be blunt, and apologize
Go
if
ahead.
this is not yeah. But what I'm saying is, especially with registries, right? I think because they are dime a dozen, and I'm not saying that. And again, I'm saying the exact opposite here. From an Intel side, we truly believe this is a use case that is
Hmm.
required to be prescribed, to made prescriptive or normalized. And because if it's not made normalized, it loses
Hmm.
that weight that we would like it to have. And so I think this is where I think I'm trying to say is, whether it's normalized by the CLA or whether it's normalized by here, we need to normalize it somehow. And
Yes.
it could be where if you use scale up, you have this kind of normalization. I'm not saying that it has to be normalized that every GPU out there has to have these registries, but it can be a use case driven normalization, but it still needs to be normalized.
So remember, all registries today, which is mandated by DMTF, none of the registries are considered as mandatory.
Correct, and that's what I don't like. Is
So,
what I'm
okay, don't worry. That is something which you need to take up with DMTF forum. But
no, no,
today,
The
the
position,
latitude, right?
the position that the NFF always had is they will describe,
correct.
right? Prescription
And
comes
where
from
else we need to
OCP,
normalize? Yeah.
right? So I don't know what you mean by normalize. So the DMTF would describe and write the dictionary, and you guys would decide what you would need to be used.
Yes. Yeah.
So go
So
ahead, Ryan. Take.
Nirav, one of the, let me actually close this way, right? We have, by the way, I would definitely like the context information of where these messages will be used as a guidance, okay? As a guidance. But we don't want it to make it a requirement. You understand that?
Correct.
Definitely that information of where this, because there is no point in throwing a list of message IDs, right? Or message registry without due context. I'm sure Ryan have seen how I presented all the messages. I really wrote a wrong document, which actually talks about each and every message, how it is used, where it is used. The each and every message registry is each and every message ID is openly explored. But the problem what happens, Nirav, is DMTF can only standardize the message ID or the message and the message registry. It cannot or it will not standardize where it will be utilized today. So, but the document which is driving these requirements, these things, definitely effectively can provide examples and scenarios where these can be used by a GPU vendor, right, Nirav? But it may not be binding that is the only way they will be using. So why I'm asking is with your current justification and all the things on the fabric which we are trying to use, I will definitely get it reviewed within the CLA. Okay. My only answer question to them is do they agree with this or do they have reservations? It won't be that are you aligned with it because that is a very strong term which I don't want to throw it at them because what's going to happen is let us say even if they say they are aligned, unfortunately the system GPU forum cannot have any visibility until they release their next spec. You see what I'm saying? You see, me and John cannot actually anything I make a promise today. Hey, they are aligned. Let us say I promise you in April, and they release a spec in October, and that spec actually they have made changes without our space. That is something a little bit which I won't have that much of control over this whole narrative.
Correct. Let's go
You
with
see?
what Ryan has, and let's
But
go.
I will definitely, I understand where you are coming from. I am hoping that Ryan, whenever we actually are formalizing this to the next stage, right? I expect a little bit of like a markdown for this so that once we actually get this, what are the new messages or Fabric registry we have, I would take that as a reference and a verifiable, like a reviewable material and actually go through the CLA for this.
No, we'll check it in. We'll make a markdown out
Perfect.
of
Yeah,
it.
perfect.
Our GitHub. Yes, let's do that.
Yeah, and that's fair. I mean, we can turn it into a different format if that's helpful. I think from what I was hearing, I think, and let me just share the spreadsheet, which I think is the last thing that we are working off, right? Is like in the specific use case we had or failure mode, and that we had in mind for each of the events, right? I mean, some of them I think are pretty obvious, but we can, if necessary, there's ones that it's not clear, then we can add another column and turn this into some other format.
Very
So I think
honest, because you are putting everything under a Fabric registry, right? The
accelerator
context
factor.
accelerator registry, it actually provides its own context. So even these may exist in other registries, the context of being part of an accelerator, actually accelerator fabric,
Mhm.
produces a context which is unique and different than the other context on which the same could have been used.
And I think they're not copy paste from, like, let's say Fabric registries. They are tweaked to be specific because of the
So
contextual nature.
So remember the if you when you actually see Michael Rayner open like remember the one which we approved recently
Yeah.
that has this LTSSM state link and all those things
Correct.
which I proposed. So my think is let's go with this because I don't want it to keep pushing this back. Let's continue to actually work on this one. My
Mhm.
expectation is anyway at the end of the day DMTF will have the last say of how this standardization is going to be applied, right, at the
Yeah,
end. So
of
I
course.
don't want us to continue to sort of, my only thing is, from my point, whatever the proposal as it stands, what you provided, right, that
Mhm.
seems to be strong. The only thing is trying to put this in a markdown with, by the way, contain this with the use case. Just we don't need to concentrate only on the message because I have seen arguments on some of the message IDs without context, and it is sort of usually dropped because people don't use it because they don't understand where to use it.
So the markdown can have the format and the message name and all that. where do you want the justification to go?
Within the markdown itself, before you actually put the message, you say what is the, by the way, you can actually see the one which I uploaded for APTS.
Okay,
Okay, I will send it to you. Okay.
Yeah.
It's already there. I have, by the way, the reason why I wanted to do this way is because I was adding close to 69 messages in APTS. So it
Mhm.
is humanly impossible for anyone to just read a scalar message ID schema and a JSON file to actually review it. So my intention was make it little more narrative so that there is a lot more understanding. Instead of people looking at a JSON to justify the usage, they could actually use a markdown document or a PDF, which actually provides a little more context on understanding the intent of the messages we are trying to push in.
Okay, so
Again, that is only from the reviews point of view, because at the end of the day, when you're trying to push an issue, when me and John, like I think John is going to, I think he will be sort of repping this through the OCP process to
Mhm.
this. So once he does that, I think that same document can be actually provided to them.
Fair enough. So what we'll do is we'll create a markdown, we'll push a PR, right? We'll add a column, like depending on how you have done it, we'll copy that format and we'll add the justification for each and every messages. But at a high level, Hari, you're saying you're aligned to the
Yeah,
idea
yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
this
Yep.
for accelerator fabric. Okay, got
Yeah.
it. And then it's all about going into the specifics of each and every registry message and then providing the justification for that. Is where we
Yes.
are. Okay, got it.
Yes. By the way, the interesting thing is some of the CLA members are also DMTF members. So, like some of you here, like we will actually make sure everybody has seen this document one shape or form. Okay, that's why.
So Ryan, let's you and I work together and just create a PR on the on this GitHub, and then we can just push the markdown in there and tweak around it with it. Let's
Okay.
add everybody as reviewers to give
Right.
comments on each individual messages. But I think let's just document here, John, if you're okay, that we are agreeing at a high level, we are agreeing with the accelerator fabric, as this working group is agreeing on an accelerator fabric redfish profile, registry profile, and then we need to drill into the specifics and then have that reviewed in the CLI. And that's what Hari will do.
Yeah. Let's actually have an issue open for this one, guys. Maybe
Okay.
I think that will be the first point. Maybe next time we meet. Next, I think so. John, are we meeting next week, right? Because we actually slept last, so we are continuing our cadence of next week, correct?
Yeah.
We'll get this. This is urgent for me as well as Ryan, so we'll
Mhm.
get this in this week. I'll work whatever I need to do, Ryan. I'll help you, and we'll get the markdown in as a PR at least by
Okay.
next week.
Yeah, and then Hari, I was going to ask, there's this within the message, each message ID, there's the property maps to general messages. I know you've submitted a bunch of stuff on the platform side.
Yeah, it doesn't. By the
Really,
way,
and there
it's
was
up
some
to you.
potential overlap, right? So if you feel
Yeah.
like there's value in pointing to some specific platform messages or other messages, then we can handle that as part of the review as well.
Sure. Yeah. Yep. By the way, let's actually start with your messages, and at least what we'll do is I want to get some of the things quickly to the other side,
Mhm.
the initial ones. Then we can actually start preparing for it to go towards standardization. So that is, we don't need to be too perfect initially, right? And okay.
Yeah, that's fine. That works. We can just get something started, and it may be a
Yeah.
small subset, and then we can evolve it. Is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, because I'm trying to see whether coming OCP, right? Needs to be something we can show the system GPU management has contributed, because that will actually, in fact, raise the expectation of how I can get CLA team to work with us much more closely.
So
Okay.
you're hoping that we can do a PowerPoint in the coming OCP with this. Okay.
I'm just looking at. We need to actually at least showcase, because we started in the last year.
Uh-huh.
So we just need
It's
to
off.
make sure that, by the way, this will be the only open forum of GPU management interface at this moment we have. So definitely, because some of the things which you are going to see from the CLA team is mostly work in progress or what they are talking about. I would like this one to actually talk about the last year's published one. So not this year's, so that this with the normative spec and all these things will be considered as some of the progress we have made last year based on what the CLA came up with.
Fair enough.
And this one is a good contributor like the Fabric Accelerator, right? The Accelerator Fabric Registry is something can be listed as a contribution of this system GPU. And basically, initially my thought was when me and John started this, our thought was we will follow. But at this moment, I see there is a huge enthusiasm and there's a lot of knowledge trust which is available here, which I am going to consider that this is another team working on thinking about standardization in the GPU world. And we will cross-pollinate as much as we can so that both these teams doesn't work for each other. Okay, they're working together.
Yeah. And since we have an alignment on this, and we'll start working on this extra points conversation from my side, is I also would like to propose, and we can cover that next week if we have time, an idea to link this to PLDM somehow, right? So I know we at a high level we said, hey, each of these registries are events and they are back to sensors. I want to formalize or at least normalize that flow as well, if that's okay. Is that something you're aligned to as well, Hari, or everybody? I guess.
So two things, Nero. PLDM is Himal Shah, and the crowd is pretty big, and its impact is something we have been with
Well,
Microsoft. I can tell you, I have been actually struggling to see how to accelerate PMCI. Okay.
no, that makes an assumption, Hari, that we have to somehow go and influence the PLDF spec. My understanding from what we have in the registry today is we could potentially use what already exists, and then just normalize how we use it.
No issues. We should propose it. I have no problem, Nero. My only thing is the PLDM takes us into the platform area, in my view. If I go back today, the redfish area is something I'm governing. I can tell you honestly, I am actually have a little more control over even where CLA is going. Okay, because I have a little bit of a governing responsibility within the CLA for redfish. Okay, but if it's talk about PMCI is a platform game, right? It is very much, there is extremely opinionated world where standards is something which has got extreme different perspectives. So I'm just saying, I'm not trying to discourage you from doing it, but we need to be very clear on what we need to ask and when the results come back, right? Because within the CLA team, if I touch PLDM, you have seen the published spec of
Yes.
already the GPU CLA team, right? The 1.1. There
Right.
are
Right.
so many PLDM attributes which is still in OEM world. Okay, if you're really looking for batching for the PLDM to get into standardization from the GPU world, we already have a list of things which it's not going to be happening that fast. So
That's
I'm
fine.
just saying
I think
the nice thing about Redfish is we are very much in sync with the DMTF on some of the ask on the GPU. So I'm little bit encouraged that if me or John can take it to the DMTF, we will be able to actually make progress in Redfish quickly. I'm not saying that this should not stop us from going to PMCI and provide our PLDM contributions. I'm just saying, giving you a note of caution that the speed in which and the agility in which standardization happens in PMCI is not as going to be fast as we could have expected in Redfish
and that's
forum.
fine. I
Okay.
think what I'm proposing for now is let's define the pipe. If we can't standardize the data model, let's just define the pipe of how PLDM gets converted into a redfish registry. Let's just do that, and then the data
No.
model is bonus points which we may never get to, and that's fine. Is that okay?
So make a proposal, Nirav. Let's do one thing.
Yeah.
I don't want you to stop you from putting an issue. Okay. Let's continue. By the way,
Yeah.
my idea is not to stop from anyone in this forum from who place an issue, The only thing is we need to
we-
find out
we-
how challenging it is to push it to further upstream or downstream. Okay.
yeah, right. So we know where all the rocks are in the road. So bring your proposal and we'll tell you if you're going to hit any of the rocks. So,
Then
right.
I will work on that and bring it next week. I'll work with
Okay.
Ryan and Austin on that as well.
Okay.
All right. Good. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Don't know
So
if you had anything.
one item left, Hari. So we have all these other open issues within the GitHub. Do you want these just suspended or do you want them?
Yeah, that is what I was about to ask you because I was just thinking, I was just doing two things. One, I was thinking, should I go through each of them and put it in the context of the normative and
Yes.
re-review them? That is
Yes.
one thing, but I just need to find a slot of time for doing it. I'm trying to see whether I can take AI's help. Okay. I'm going to explore this. And if AI can, because GitHub has this AI integrated, which is pretty helpful. So
Mhm.
let me actually get back to you because I see most of the comments which I have seen people put it valuable. I want to try to see whether we can answer it from the normative spec point of view.
I
Can
think
we
that's
address that from that point of? So that
right.
is what I don't want to close all of them or suspend them, but my idea is to close them with a thought process that the normative spec is addressed it, or this is particularly a narrative part of that information which did not make it to the normative spec.
Okay. No, that's exactly what I think should be done. So I'm glad. I just want to make sure there's a
Yeah,
pathway
that
for
was my
these.
thought. Yeah, the only problem I have is I need to find a slot of time to sit in and to complete this because it is already 50, right? We need to actually go back. By the way, I am definitely sure the first thing from Marco is addressed because the normative
Okay.
spec addresses it.
Let's not go through it all. So was there any other comment?
Yes.
Because we're almost at the top of the hour.
I just wanted to follow up, John, on so when do you think you would be able to get that normative spec put into GitHub?
This afternoon.
Okay, great.
Thank you, John.
Okay. With that, anything else? Okay. You're done. Thank you guys. Have a good
Thank you
weekend.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
all.